Every day, people test you. They mock your silence, mistake your kindness for weakness, and cross lines they were never invited to. The real question is, how do you respond when someone disrespects you, without losing control, without lowering yourself, and without becoming their puppet? When someone disrespects you, your first instinct may be to react, to speak up, to defend yourself in front of others. This is natural, but natural instincts are often the death of strategy. A person who reacts immediately is like a soldier charging into battle without a weapon. Driven by emotion, blind to consequence, and exposed to counterattack. If you allow their disrespect to provoke you in public, you are not defeating them. You are giving them exactly what they wanted, proof that they have power over your emotions. In the court of perception, control is everything. To be disrespected in public is not a loss of power. How you respond is where the battle is either lost or won. When you answer a fool with outrage, the world sees two fools arguing. But when you respond with calm, measured silence, the dynamic shifts. The crowd notices not just the insult, but your ability to remain untouchable. In that moment, you become more than a man. You become a force. Never fight battles on your enemy's terms. Public confrontation is emotional warfare. It is loud, unpredictable, and favors the undisciplined. Those who insult you in front of others are not seeking truth. They are performing. They are actors desperate for validation, for laughs, for applause. Do not be their co-star. Withdraw from the scene and let them drown in their own theater. Their momentary glory fades quickly when you refuse to participate in their play. Instead of reacting, observe. Take note. Register their intent, their style, their emotional need. Did they disrespect you to look strong in front of others? Did they use humor to mock you, hoping to appear superior? Did they twist your words to provoke a defense? Each of these tactics reveals more about them than it ever reveals about you. The very act of disrespect exposes their insecurities, their weaknesses, and their hunger for relevance. True power lies in anticipation. If you crush someone in public, they will seek sympathy. They will turn the narrative against you. If you destroy them quietly, strategically, they vanish without a sound. No one mourns a downfall that no one sees coming. That is the art of invisible retaliation. To crush quietly in private means to wait for your moment. It means refusing to stoop to their level while preparing a response that hits them where it truly hurts their status, their reputation, their pride. Perhaps you withhold access. Perhaps you deny them opportunities. Perhaps you remove their influence through strategic alliances, behind closed doors. Whatever your method, it must not be fueled by anger. It must be engineered by precision. This kind of power does not announce itself. It whispers. It works in the shadows. It is not theatrical, but surgical. When you correct someone in private, they must feel the sting, but never see the hand that delivered it. They must wonder how the world began turning against them. And by the time they realize it was you, it will already be too late. There is also a deeper reason to avoid public retaliation. When you respond emotionally in public, you expose your inner world. You show them what gets under your skin. You teach them how to hurt you again. Every emotional outburst is a blueprint of your psychological structure, but when you smile in the face of insult, when you appear unshaken, you deny them access to your mind. You remain unreadable, untouchable. This is not weakness. This is restraint. This is the highest form of discipline. The strong man does not need to shout. He does not need to win the crowd. His silence terrifies because it suggests depth, calculation, and consequences that are still unknown. If they insult you, let them feel victorious. Let them believe they won. That belief will make them careless. They will lower their guard. They will become louder, bolder, more obvious. And when they finally step out of line, when they reveal their full hand, you strike. But not with words. Not with emotion. With silence backed by consequences they never saw coming. Revenge, if it must come, should come dressed in elegance. No screaming, no announcement, just the cold, quiet realization that their disrespect came with a price, and you were always calculating it. Disrespect is not always a loss. It is often a gift in disguise. It reveals more than it hides. When someone disrespects you, they are not simply expressing an opinion, they are exposing their perception of you. They are telling you who they think you are, what they believe you will tolerate, and how little they understand the depth of your mind. Most people take this personally. They feel hurt, betrayed, or angry. The one who sees clearly understands this is not a wound. It is information, and information is power. Every insult carries hidden truths. Some are lies people tell to provoke you. Some are genuine misjudgments based on their own limited view. But in both cases, the insult gives you something others rarely reveal, a glimpse into the architecture of their mind. When someone shows you their disrespect, they are giving you a map to their assumptions, fears, insecurities, and tactics. Only a fool throws that map away in a fit of rage. The wise man studies it, memorizes it, and uses it to predict every future move. Disrespect, when handled poorly, becomes an infection. It festers inside the mind, fueling bitterness and irrational decisions. But when handled with clarity, it becomes a weapon, a sharpened blade, a test of emotional control. If they insult you and you rise above it, you become stronger than you were before. Not because you ignored it, but because you transformed it. You took the heat of their words and forged it into focus, understanding, and strategy. Many assume that to be disrespected is to be diminished. But in truth, it often places you in a position of advantage. The one who disrespects you believes you are harmless. This makes them bold, and boldness without calculation is a weakness disguised as confidence. When someone underestimates you, you are free to move silently, to operate without alarm. They won't guard against your rise because they don't believe you are capable of one. That is your opening. That is your edge. There is also something revealing in the manner of their disrespect. Some use sarcasm, hoping to mask contempt behind humor. Others use direct confrontation, testing your composure. Some go further, undermining your credibility, spreading rumors, planting doubt. Each method tells you what they fear. The sarcastic ones fear being ignored. The direct ones fear your calm. The manipulators fear your reputation. Once you identify what their insult is hiding, you understand how to control them. Control begins with observation. If someone insults you in front of others, observe who laughs and who looks away. Observe who changes their tone after the insult is delivered. In every room where you are disrespected, alliances are revealed. There are no neutral spectators when power is being tested. Every silence, every smirk, every shift in posture is a signal. Disrespect forces the masks to fall. You begin to see the hierarchy more clearly. This clarity is priceless. Most people wander through life assuming everyone around them is neutral or friendly, but disrespect shatters that illusion. It shows you who is threatened by you, who sees you as a rival, who feels the need to belittle you to maintain their own fragile identity. You cannot move intelligently until you know who the players are, and disrespect accelerates that discovery. It brings the truth to the surface. When you are disrespected, do not internalize the insult. Externalize it. Lay it on the table like a tool. Turn it over, examine it, extract its value. Ask yourself, what did this person just reveal about themselves? What do they want others to think of me? What do they fear I might become? What are they trying to prevent with this attack? These are not emotional questions. They are strategic. Once you have this insight, you now have leverage. Leverage does not mean retaliation. It means having the ability to shift the balance of power without needing to raise your voice. You can choose when to act, how to respond, or whether to respond at all. You are not reacting. You are guiding. You are shaping the game, not just playing it. Disrespect becomes your weapon because it gives you the element of surprise. They expect a wounded ego, a loud rebuttal, an emotional collapse. They do not expect a smile. They do not expect silence. They do not expect that while they celebrate your humiliation, you are quietly building something they cannot see, a plan, a response, a future where their voice holds no weight and your presence commands the room. This is the true nature of power, not in how you strike back, but in how you convert the very things meant to destroy you into stepping stones toward absolute control. When someone disrespects you, it is tempting to put them in their place immediately, to shame them in front of others, to declare your strength and show them that they have crossed the wrong person. But the one who rushes to judgment seeks short-term satisfaction and abandons long-term dominance. Judgment is reactive. Regret is strategic. To become their judge is to play on moral grounds. To be the architect of their regret is to engineer reality in such a way that they cannot escape the consequences of their choices. without you ever needing to raise your voice. The art of regret does not rely on confrontation. It relies on transformation, your transformation. The path forward is not to scream about the disrespect or campaign to win others to your side. That would suggest that you are hurt, shaken, or in need of external validation. It would place your power in the hands of the crowd. Instead, the correct response is to withdraw from the battlefield and begin building. Not just building strength, but building silence, mystique, elevation, and distance. Let them watch you ascend. Let them witness your indifference. Let them choke on your absence. Regret is not created through punishment. It is born from the recognition that they have lost something they did not understand the value of. When someone mocks you, they are saying to the world that you are insignificant, that your presence, your power, your essence can be dismissed. When you rise far above their reach, when your name is spoken with respect in places they cannot enter, they begin to realize what they truly disrespected. That is when the seed of regret is planted. You do not need to explain yourself to the one who disrespected you. Explanation is for the weak. It suggests that you still care what they think, that you want them to understand. The reality is, they will never understand. Until they feel it, until they are confronted not with your words, but with the echoing silence of your absence, the lack of your support, your presence, your influence. Let them wake up to a world where your distance speaks louder than any reply ever could. To be the architect of someone's regret means to make them remember you, not in anger, but in awe. Not as the man they mock, as the man who became too powerful to touch. This is not done with force. It is done with composure. Every time you restrain yourself, you gain another brick in the fortress of your dignity. Every time you move in silence, you add another layer to your legend. They cannot fight what they cannot reach. They cannot insult what is no longer in their world. There is an elegance in outgrowing your enemies, a brutal elegance. They continue playing a small game while you disappear into larger arenas. They keep speaking your name while your circle evolves into one where their name no longer holds any relevance. You do not remind them of the past. You allow your present to haunt them. You let the results speak. You let success become the slow, burning fire that devours their pride. Regret takes time to ferment. It requires space. It is not instant like revenge. It builds quietly, day by day, as the one who disrespected you starts to see what they lost, what they pushed away, what they ridiculed without knowing. You do not need to call attention to your rise. They will hear about it in whispers. They will see it on the faces of those who now admire you, and they will wonder how they ever saw you as small. This process demands patience. It demands that you resist the urge to prove something. You do not owe the world a display of strength. Real strength is invisible. It is not proven, it is felt. When someone disrespects you, they are placing a bet against your potential. Your task is not to argue with them about their bet. Your task is to win so convincingly that their bet bankrupts them socially, mentally, and emotionally. To engineer regret means creating contrast, the memory of how they treated you versus the reality of who you have become. The more radiant your transformation, the sharper that contrast. They will not remember their insult with pride. They will remember it with shame. And that shame will not come from your retaliation, but from the awareness that they had access to you once, and they threw it away like nothing. This is not about vengeance. It is about becoming untouchable, not through violence or noise, but through growth so profound that they cannot enter the space you now inhabit. They will watch from afar. They will remember what they said, and the silence you left behind will say everything they never understood. In every conflict, in every insult, in every moment of disrespect, there is something even more powerful at stake than emotion perception. The narrative, the story others will tell about what happened. The person who controls that story controls the power, even if he never speaks a word. Words are tools. Silence, when wielded by a man of intent, becomes a weapon far sharper. The world watches how you respond, not merely what you say, and the man who says nothing while radiating quiet strength is more feared than the one who shouts for justice. Disrespect is a provocation, but more than that, it is a trap. It tempts you to speak impulsively, to defend yourself, to retaliate in ways that reveal your insecurity. It dares you to drop your composure so that others can judge whether your crown is real or made of paper. The more you speak in your defense, the more you suggest that you feel threatened. The more you explain yourself, the more you imply you need to be understood. The man who remains silent creates mystery, and mystery always wins in the court of power. The narrative is not written by the loudest voice. It is shaped by the calmest presence. When you speak too soon, you give your enemies something to twist. You provide fuel for gossip, ammunition for their manipulation, and evidence of emotional instability. But when you remain silent, they are forced to fill the void. They begin to speculate, and speculation leads to fear, to uncertainty, to doubt. Your silence becomes a mirror, and what they see in that mirror depends on their own fears and insecurities. Silence, when intentional, is not weakness. It is dominance. It announces that you are not on trial, that your value is not up for debate, and that you answer to no one. In a world obsessed with constant noise, the man who refrains from speaking commands attention. People lean in. They observe. They study your every movement, hoping to decode your thoughts. In doing so, they elevate your presence. You become larger than life not because of what you say, but because of what you leave unsaid. The most dangerous man in any room is the one who can absorb disrespect without flinching. Not because he is weak, but because he knows something others do not. He knows that power is not always shown through retaliation, but through indifference. He knows that by not reacting, he maintains control of the frame. He knows that the moment he chooses to speak, he can shift the entire atmosphere. But until then, he allows others to reveal themselves. Every insult they throw becomes a self-indictment. Every mockery they speak becomes a confession. Control the narrative by mastering restraint. Every move you make must feel deliberate. Every glance, every pause, every refusal to respond must suggest calculation. When others try to pull you into the mud, stand still. Their noise will eventually collapse under its own weight. Their words will lose meaning in the silence that surrounds you, and as they scramble to justify their disrespect, you will rise, not through retaliation, but through timeless discipline. Let others talk. Let them gossip, speculate, invent stories. Their words are fragile, temporary. Yours are eternal because you understand when not to speak. The man who controls the narrative does not chase after reputation. He builds it silently, brick by brick, with consistency, detachment, and power that does not beg to be acknowledged. When the time comes to speak, your words will weigh more than 1,000 shouted defenses. But until then, your silence must haunt them. Those who disrespect you often expect outrage. They expect a battle. They want to see you react, to lose control, to expose weakness. But when you give them nothing, no reaction, no explanation, no retaliation, they are left with their own echo. The insult falls flat. Their attack boomerangs back into their image. They begin to question themselves. Others begin to question them. Slowly, the narrative changes, not because you forced it, but because you didn't need to. Mastery of the narrative means understanding timing. You do not need to correct every false perception in real time. Most perceptions destroy themselves over time. Truth, when paired with silence, becomes a ghost that haunts the liars. While they talk, you build. While they laugh, you rise. And eventually, the contrast between your silence and your results tells a story that no one can deny. You become legend not by shouting your truth, but by living in such a way that even your silence becomes unforgettable. Power is not in the volume of your voice, but in the discipline of your response. When someone disrespects you, the temptation to retaliate immediately is strong, but true strength lies in silence, strategy, and elevation. Those who mock you seek a reaction. What they fear is your composure. Let them underestimate you. Let them misread your calm for weakness. In doing so, they write the first chapter of their own regret. You are not required to explain yourself to anyone. You are not obligated to defend your worth. The man who understands his value does not need validation. He lets his results, his silence, and his distance speak. Disrespect is not the end. It is the beginning of your transformation. It is the moment where you stop playing by their rules and start creating your own. You do not crush them with noise. You erase them with success. So if someone disrespects you, don't react, rise. Don't shout, disappear. Don't argue, dominate. Control the narrative. Design their regret. And let the legacy of your silence be louder than any insult they ever dared to speak.